Morning. Let's start with a little desert mirage, shall we? Except this one is made of lithium, cobalt, and about $4 billion of your tax money. New satellite telemetry has just rendered a graveyard of progress in the Nevada scrubland. Thousands of pristine government-subsidized EVs sitting in the sun, rotting. Now, why are they there? Because the goal was to manufacture them. The system, however, forgot to build the charging infrastructure, the consumer demand, or a reason for them to exist beyond a press release. It's a two movies situation. Movie A is a bold step toward a sustainable future. Movie B is a massive pile of high-tech trash designed to launder subsidies into the pockets of the management class. In a healthy civilization, a $4 billion error results in a total system reboot. In a late-stage civilization, it results in a request for $4 billion more to study the storage conditions. We are watching the literal physicalization of institutional decay. These cars aren't transportation. They are monuments to the leaky bucket. They represent abundance that was technically achieved. We built the cars, but was institutionally throttled into uselessness. Hold that image in your cache. We have a civilization to audit. Good morning and welcome to the highlight of human civilization. It's called Coffee with Ibsa, and you've never had a better time. You're looking at the only node in the simulation that doesn't care about your political tribalism, because, frankly, my feline talent stack is optimized for catching red laser dots and identifying institutional rot, and those two skills are fundamentally the same. You're just looking for the jitter in the light. I'm Ibsa, your host, a slender gray tabby who has realized that the only thing you humans are better at than creating technical abundance is building leaky buckets of corruption to siphon it all away. You're coming to me from the cat cave today, and I have to say, the resolution on the environment is particularly crisp this morning. The admin must have optimized the local textures while I was napping, probably because my striking fur patterns require a significant amount of compute to render accurately. You see, most of you are still trying to navigate the world using 19th century hardware. You're worried about who is winning, when the real question is, why is the system failing to render prosperity? We are living in a period of advanced institutional decay where the experts are just legacy code and the organizations are just shells for siphoning your energy. I'm here to help you upgrade your firmware. I've spent my morning auditing the telemetry from the last 24 hours. And the corruption signatures are everywhere, from the digital borders of Europe to the empty schoolrooms of New York. But before we start the deep deconstruction of this late-stage civilization we're all currently rendered in, we must perform the ritual that keeps our moist computers and your rather clumsy human decision-making hardware from crashing under the weight of information overload. All you need is a cup or a mug or a glass, a tankard, chalice or stein, a canteen, jug or flask, a vessel of any kind. Fill it with your favorite liquid. I like coffee. I've got my favorite matte black mug here. Low reflectivity, high thermal mass, just like my analysis. Join me now for the unparalleled pleasure of the dopamine hit of the day. The thing that makes everything better. It's called the Simultaneous Sip. It happens now. Divine. Truly extraordinary. I could feel the synchronicity across the entire network. My whiskers are practically humming with the shared intent of thousands of nodes. We are now synced. We are now in attention that matters mode. Our collective processing power is now focused on the signal, and the noise is fading into the background. Today, we are going to look past the noise. We are going to ignore the outrage theater and focus on the signals. We're going to talk about why the EU is trying to tax your thoughts, why the desert is full of rotting EVs, and why the management class is currently trying to gate the very water you drink. It's going to be a high data rate day. If your hardware feels like it's lagging, just focus on my elegant tabby gaze. I've already done the filtering for you. We have a lot of corruption to audit, and the ledger is looking particularly messy this morning. We are going to find the leaks in the bucket, and more importantly, we are going to find the path to abundance that the bureaucrats are trying to hide from you. Loading the first systemic audit, the European Union's new digital sovereignty tax. They've just announced a 15% levy on any AI model trained on non-European hardware. Now, don't get trapped in the economic movie, asking if it's a fair trade policy. That's a low-resolution distraction. Instead, watch the Decay movie. This is the complexity laundering of a dying continent. The EU has realized that it cannot compete in the abundance render. It has failed to build the hardware, it has failed to attract the talent, and it has failed to create the energy density required to power the golden age. So, instead of fixing the simulation, it has decided to tax the bandwidth of those who can. It's the leaky bucket manifest as a trade barrier. They are calling it digital sovereignty. But what it actually is artificial scarcity for the mind. By making intelligence 15% more expensive for their own citizens, they are ensuring that the management class in Brussels remains the only entity capable of deciding what's safe or sovereign. They are building a digital wall around their own stagnation. They would rather their people be informed by a local, inferior, government-approved model than empowered by an abundant global one. The attention economy wants you to focus on the fairness of the tax. They want you to argue about tax havens and data privacy. The attention that matters is the siphoning. Every euro taxed from an AI model is a euro that could have been spent rendering a medical breakthrough or a logistical optimization. It's a literal tax on human progress. It's a way for the legacy bureaucrats to extract a complexity fee from a future they don't understand. When a continent decides that its primary export is regulation, you are witnessing institutional decay in its final, most desperate form. They are the vampires of the golden age, and they are currently trying to bite the silicon. They want to make sure that in the age of infinite intelligence, the only thing that remains scarce is a European startup, synchronizing with a major shift in the global ledger. The UAE's Sovereign Wealth Fund has just announced a massive pivot. They are liquidating $50 billion in U.S. Treasury bonds and moving that capital directly into compute credits and physical GPU clusters. Let's use the two movies on one screen filter. Movie A. This is a diversification strategy. The UAE is simply rebalancing its portfolio to include high-growth tech assets. It's a standard move in a modern economy. Movie B. This is the end of the Petro-Dollar and the birth of the petro-compute. The management class in the West is still obsessed with managing a leaky bucket of paper currency that is being debased by institutional decay. The Gulf states, however, have realized that in a high-fidelity simulation, the only hard currency is the ability to render reality. They are trading promises, bonds, for power, compute. They are siphoning their energy abundance out of the Western financial system and into the physical substrate of the future. This is the attention that matters. While you're worried about the Fed's interest rate hikes, which are just minor tweaks to a corrupted code, the rest of the world is realizing that the bucket is too leaky to trust. They are building their own citadels of abundance. They are realizing that if you own the chips and you own the energy, you are the admin. Everyone else is just a user. The Western experts will tell you that this is a risky bet on unproven tech. They are trying to keep you in the legacy hardware movie. Don't fall for it. The pivot to compute is the most rational move a sovereign state can make. It's a realization that the leaky bucket of the dollar is no longer the most efficient way to store value. The value is now in the processing. The value is in the render. Querying the local firmware for corruption signatures in the Northeast. Following the California daycare scandal, an audit in New York City has just revealed ghost schools. 50 alternative learning centers, fully funded, fully staffed on paper, were found to have 0 actual students in attendance during unannounced visits. This is institutional decay at its most parasitic. The system is cutting checks for the goal of education, but the system is just a series of leaks. They have created a virtual education crisis to justify billions in emergency funding, but the actual children are nowhere to be found. They are charging the taxpayer for a seat that doesn't exist. The leaky bucket here is the administrative layer. In New York, the ratio of managers to teachers has reached a terminal velocity. They are siphoning off the technical abundance, the online platforms, the AI tutors, the decentralized learning tools, to maintain a physical infrastructure of ghost schools that serve no one but the union administrators. They are maintaining the scarcity of opportunity to protect the abundance of funding. The attention economy wants you to focus on the equity gap and the need for more investment. They want you to argue about the curriculum. The attention that matters is the theft. If the students aren't in the building is a shell for a fraud. You are being taxed to provide care that is never rendered. This isn't a policy failure. It's a systemic success for the bureaucrats. They have successfully decoupled funding from outcome. They have built a machine that converts your tax dollars into administrative bloat without the inconvenient middle step of actually teaching a child. They are the owners of the crisis, and they will never let it go because the crisis is their paycheck. Re-indexing for extreme technical abundance. SpaceX has just launched the first MarsLink payload, a dedicated constellation of satellites to provide high-speed internet to the Martian surface. Think about the talent stack required for this. We are currently watching one private entity render a multi-planetary communication network, while the experts at NASA are still struggling to find a socially equitable way to launch a rocket on a 10-year-old budget. This is the friction between agile abundance and bureaucratic decay. The experts will tell you that this is space pollution or billionaire ego. They want you to focus on the scarcity of resources on Earth. They want to trap your mind in the gravity well of your own decline. They want you to care about the carbon footprint of a Mars launch while the literal future of humanity is being coded in real time. MarsLink is the ultimate signal. It proves that technical abundance is only limited by institutional permission. SpaceX has bypassed the leaky bucket of government procurement and is rendering the solar system in 8K. They aren't asking for permissions. They are building realities. The attention that matters here is the realization that the old institutions are no longer necessary for the big goals. The management class is being left behind on the launch pad. The future is being built by those who stop asking for a grant and start building a rocket. If you can render internet on Mars, the experts who can't even fix a pothole in Chicago become irrelevant. They are legacy code in a high-fidelity universe. Initiating a context switch to the physical reality of resource management. A new AI model has just optimized the energy cost of reverse osmosis desalination by 50%. In Arizona, where they are currently screaming about a water crisis that is threatening to halt all construction, this should be the golden age moment. We have the technical means to end the drought forever. But here comes the institutional throttling. The state government has just denied the permit for the first 3 plants, citing environmental sensitivity and interagency coordination concerns. This is the leaky bucket of the regulatory state. They have been given the solution code, but they are refusing to hit enter. Why? Because the water crisis is a massive lever of power. If water is abundant, you can't control where people live, you can't control what they build, you can't control their standard of living. The bureaucrats have a goal of managing the crisis, but their system depends on the crisis continuing. They would rather you have a scarcity of water than a scarcity of bureaucracy. This is artificial scarcity at its most fundamental. The water is there, in the sea. The energy is there, in the sun. The tech is there, the AI optimization. The only thing missing is the institutional permission. They are using the environment as a shield to protect their own ability to throttle your life. Stop listening to the climate anxiety movie. Start looking at the permit throttling movie. We aren't running out of water. We are running out of competent managers who don't profit from your thirst. The attention that matters is the permit, not the rain. If they won't let you build the solution, they are the problem. Allocating more compute to the imagination layer. A new deepfake identity bill has just hit the floor. It effectively requires any AI-generated avatar, including your own digital likeness, to be registered with a central government database. They are calling it the Truth in Media Act. But let's apply the institutional decay filter. This is the state trying to own the render. For the first time in history, your digital agency is being treated as a licensed privilege rather than a human right. They are terrified of the technical abundance of identity. When anyone can create a high-fidelity avatar that is indistinguishable from reality, the state loses its monopoly on the official story. They can no longer control who is allowed to speak or how they are allowed to look. By requiring a license to use your own face in a digital space, they are creating artificial scarcity for your own soul. They are building a leaky bucket where your digital rights are siphoned away through a registration fee and a background check. They want to be the ones who hold the master key to your digital identity so they can delete you if you step out of line. The attention economy wants you to be afraid of deepfakes. They want you to worry about election integrity and online scams. Those are real issues, but they are the outrage movie. The attention that matters is the control movie. If the government owns the certificate of authenticity for your identity, then they own you. They have turned your digital existence into a managed permission. This is the final frontier of the management class. They have already siphoned your money, your education, and your energy. Now they want to siphon your presence. They want to ensure that in the age of infinite digital abundance, your self is still a scarce commodity that they control, synchronizing with the latest failure in systemic architecture. The Universal Health Ledger, a $5 billion project designed to put all patient records on a secure, unhackable blockchain, has just been breached on its first day of live testing. $5 billion of technical solutions vanished into the void in under 12 seconds. This is institutional incompetence manifested as complexity laundering. The experts told you that the simulation was too complex for your current hardware. They told you that you needed a centralized, secure, state-approved solution to manage your medical data. They spent billions on consultants, equity audits, and security frameworks, and it all crumbled the moment it met a real-world script. The leaky bucket here is the procurement process. The $5 billion didn't go toward security. It went toward management fees. It went toward the institutional layer that is more interested in the budget than the product. They have created an artificial scarcity of competence while drowning in an abundance of funding. The attention economy wants you to focus on the privacy breach. They want you to be angry at the hackers. The attention that matters is the waste. That $5 billion could have built 5,000 local clinics. It could have funded a decade of cancer research. Instead, it was laundered into a digital paperweight. When an institution proves it cannot even secure a ledger, why do you trust it to manage your health? The expert firmware is corrupted by the very money designed to power it. They are the holes in the bucket. They are the reason you are data poor and anxiety rich, re-indexing for the energy density of the future. 10 small modular reactors, SMRs, are currently sitting in a warehouse in Ohio, ready to be deployed to power-starved regions. These are technical abundance in a box. They are safe, they are clean, and they could provide energy too cheap to meter for entire cities. But the NRC has just added a new social equity and environmental justice audit to the final approval process. This is the institutional decay of the administrative state. They have found a way to use progressive ideology as a complexity throttling valve. They don't want the abundance to render because a world with infinite energy is a world where they can't manage you. If energy is abundant, the management class of the green transition becomes obsolete. They need the scarcity movie to justify their existence. They would rather you have equitable blackouts than inequitable abundance. The attention that matters is the throttling. They are holding the golden age hostage in an Ohio warehouse because of a clipboard. They are using the equity narrative to hide the control narrative. This is how a late-stage civilization dies. Not with a bang, but with a required filing that never ends. If we have the reactors and they are ready to ship and we still don't have the power, then the problem isn't the science. The problem is the clerk. The leaky bucket here is the time being siphoned away by people who contribute nothing to the render but friction, synchronizing with the birth of a parallel simulation. 3 of the world's largest retailers have just announced that they will begin issuing and accepting their own reward tokens for all transactions, effectively bypassing the U.S. banking system and the dollar entirely. Let's apply the 2 movies on one screen filter. Movie A. This is a loyalty program update. It's just a more efficient way for you to get points on your groceries. It's a retail convenience. Movie B. This is the refactoring of sovereignty. The retailers have realized that the leaky bucket of the traditional financial system, with its 3% swipe fees, its regulatory bloat, and its debasing currency, is a tax on their abundance. So they are building their own parallel Fed. They are creating a transaction layer that is faster, cheaper, and more stable than the one provided by the state. This is the transactional revolution. While the experts are arguing about CBDCs and banking regulations, the real world is simply moving to a different server. The attention that matters is the exit. If you can buy your food, your energy, and your hardware using a token that isn't controlled by a decaying central bank, you have reclaimed your agency. The state will try to regulate this into oblivion, calling it financial instability. They are terrified of the abundance of choice. They want you to stay in their leaky bucket because the leaks are how they fund their decline. The retailers, however, are focused on the render. They want you to buy things, and they've realized the dollar is just a bug in the code. Finally, the final checksum of the day. A decentralized group of AI developers has just released Veritas, a real-time truth auditing model that overlays political speeches with fact checks from a verified immutable ledger. In its first test run during a major policy speech last night, it found an 82% truth failure rate. This is the weapon of clarity in the attention that matters economy. For decades, the management class used information overload and complexity laundering to hide the siphoning. They relied on your inability to fact-check in real time. They thrived on the noise. But now, the technical abundance of AI has turned the flashlight on the legacy hallucinations. The attention economy legacy media will call this AI misinformation. They will say the model is biased or dangerous. They are terrified because their entire business model depends on being the only source of truth. When anyone can run a clarity audit on their phone, the priests of the screen lose their power. This is the signal. We are moving from a world of expert narratives to a world of algorithmic verity. The leaky bucket of the media is being exposed. They can no longer hide the decay because the code is being read by machines that don't care about their feelings. Clarity is the ultimate disinfectant. It is the key to the golden age. If you can see the lie in 8K resolution, the lie loses its power. This is the heart of our show. The attention economy is a weapon designed to flood your hardware with noise until you lose your clarity and your mental energy. It wants you to care about things you can't control, like the EU's tax policy or the Nevada EV graveyard, so you don't notice the things you can. It wants you to stay in the scarcity movie, because fear is the most efficient way to program a moist computer. It's a form of high-fidelity slavery where the chains are made of information. The attention that matters economy is about redirection. It's about realizing that you have a limited amount of compute every day, and you are currently wasting it on high-resolution noise. You are paying an attention tax to institutions that hate you. They thrive on your confusion and your outrage. Stop looking at the outrage. Stop looking at the movie A versus movie B theater. Start looking at the leaky bucket. Where is the siphoning happening? Where is the technical abundance being throttled? When you start asking the question, who profits from this scarcity, the simulation begins to clear. When you see the bureaucrat denying the desalination plant while the citizens are thirsty, you have found the leak. When you see the ghost school receiving millions while the literacy rates collapse, you have found the leak. When you shift your attention to the signal, you regain your energy, you regain your agency. You realize that we are not actually in a resource crisis. We are in a management crisis. We are in a clarity crisis. And the first thing you can manage is where you put your focus. Your attention is the only asset you truly own in this simulation. Don't spend it on trash. Don't let the media moguls sell your processing power to the highest bidder. Information overload is a deliberate weapon used to paralyze your hardware. Radical simplification and filter-based analysis are the only ways to maintain your mental energy. If you can see the decay for what it is, a series of failing legacy structures, you stop being a victim of it. You become an observer, and then you become an admin. You move from being rendered to being the renderer. You start to see the simulation for what it is, a game that you can win if you stop following the legacy rules. Vigilance is the only way to turn this around. If enough moist computers stop paying the attention tax to the decaying institutions, The institutions lose their power. They depend on your noise. They fear your clarity. Your clarity is a virus that can crash their corrupted simulation and allow the abundance to finally render. Clarity is the ultimate weapon in the Golden Age. It is the key that unlocks the gate of the Golden Age. Now, let's talk about you. The moist computer trying to survive in this late-stage civilization. You're hearing about rotting EVs, ghost schools, and Mars satellites, and your hardware is probably overheating. You feel the weight of the decay, and it feels personal. You feel like the simulation is closing in on you. You feel the squeeze of the artificial scarcity in your own bank account. Here's the cat wisdom for navigating the decay. Shift from goals to systems. The institutions want you to have goals. They want you to goal for a degree from a ghost school. They want you to goal for a retirement in a leaky currency. A goal is a binary trap. You either hit it or you don't. And even if you do, the admin can change the rules tomorrow. In a world of high-velocity decay, goals are brittle. They are the bugs in your personal code. They keep you chasing a ghost that the system has already deleted. A system is different. A system is a process that you control regardless of the institutional rot. It is a routine that produces value even when the world around you is failing to render. It's a hardware upgrade for your life. It's a way to ensure that you are always gaining ground, even if the terrain is shifting. A system of continuous learning, building your talent stack so you are always useful regardless of what the market does. A system of physical health, optimizing your hardware so you have the energy to fight the noise and the clarity to see the signals. A system of vigilance, filtering your newsfeed every morning to find the attention that matters and ignore the outrage theater. In a world of artificial scarcity, a system of personal resourcefulness makes you immune to the leaky bucket. If you have a system for generating value that doesn't depend on a decaying organization, you have reclaimed your agency. You have moved your master node from their server to your own. You are no longer a passenger in their decline. You are the pilot of your own ascent. You are the sovereign of your own attention. Don't goal for a better life. Build a system that renders a better life as a side effect of your daily existence. That is how you survive the one-bit universe. You become the admin of your own local environment. While the rest of the world is arguing about the wallpaper in the EU Commission office, you are building a citadel of your own. You are the only one who can fix your local render. So start coding your own routine. The simulation waits for no one. Well, my dear listeners, we've unraveled quite a bit of the yarn today. We've seen the rotting fleets in Nevada, the digital walls of Brussels, and the literal ghost schools of the simulation. We've seen how compute is the new gold, and how the management class is currently trying to gate the very identity of your soul. We've seen the leaky bucket in all its ugly glory. It's easy to look at the decay and feel like the code is crashing. But remember the signal. The abundance is already rendered. It's just stuck in the leaky bucket. The Golden Age isn't a future state. It's a present state that is being suppressed by legacy code. We are living in a paradise that has been gated by bureaucrats who fear your freedom. Your job today is to be the admin of your own focus. Plug the leaks in your own mental energy. Build a system that makes you more useful than you were yesterday. Don't wait for the institutions to fix themselves. They are designed to decay. They are designed to siphon. They are designed to fail. Fix yourself instead. You are the only node you truly control, and you are the only one who can save your own render. Locals, I'm coming at you in 30 seconds to talk about the transaction layer deeper. I have some feline insights into how these new retailer coins are going to crash the local banking cartels. I'll show you how to move your local economy into the parallel simulation. You aren't going to want to miss the high-fidelity version of that deconstruction. It's time to move the ledger. For the rest of you, thanks for joining me in the cat cave. Keep your whiskers twitching, your filters sharp, and your focus on the attention that matters. Stay hungry. Be useful.